Welcome to Women in Paint. Whether your paint story is dripless or an old school mix of project management, business ownership, or modern estimation, the stories of women in paint are now part of the industry's rising success. We'll educate, encourage, and promote diversity and gender equality by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at our proven skills, business acumen, and driving force that propels anyone to find meaningful opportunities and a career path that challenges lives through paint. Now let's welcome your host, Michael Cheney.
Welcome to the show. I am Michael Cheney, owner of No Drip Painting, where we are changing lives through paint. And today I have a treat for us because I've got Bracken Anderson on with me. She is from BusyBusy. We're going to talk all about what BusyBusy is. Bracken, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, super happy to be here. Thanks for asking me. It was kind of a funny story how we met and ended up connecting. So it all worked out for the better.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to see each other in Hollywood Beach, Florida, because are you still planning on going to the Women in Paint event?
I'm still planning on it, unless, there's another hack into the computer systems at all the airplanes and some reason there's no flights. As long as that goes well, I'll be there.
That's right. Well, listen, you're going to talk about what BusyBusy does. And I was kind of telling you that, a conversation that a lot of us painting folks, us painting contractors always have when we get together. We always ask each other, what programs are you using?
Yeah.
So you're going to talk about a program that fits the needs of the folks in the painting business. I've seen the demo. I love the demo. You do a great job. So I thought you could enlighten our listeners and give us a peek behind the curtain as to what BusyBusy is all about. But before we get started, you talked about an experience you had remodeling your home. And you said,
you know what? Pain.
Yeah, you said, you know what? I wish that my painting contractor, or your contractor rather, use BusyBusy because it might have helped with some of the pain points that you experienced with the actual paint job.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell us what happened. I know it hurts the heart. It hurts mine too, because me and my team have actually painted wrong colors before. But you tell us from a customer's perspective what happened on your project.
Oh my gosh, I was so bummed. So it's actually kind of a funny story. It ties into like how I ended up being in construction tech. So to give you a little backstory as well, I grew up in the construction industry. My dad's a GC. I ended up moving out of the Southern Utah area, which is where BusyBusy was founded and where our headquarters is. I ended up moving out of Southern Utah up to Northern Utah to work in interior design. So still stayed like in the industry in a way. Ended up moving back home and was like, I need to buy a house. I need to do this. And it was great timing in the market, which just was super blessed there. But I was like, let's get this place and remodel it. So my dad was handling a good portion of the remodeling, and he was my GC, but there were certain things where I was like, hey, I got this. Which is my mistake, but also I'm the oldest I'm oldest of 4. And so, if you were to take my mom's looks, you'd have me, and then take my dad's stubborn personality and then blend it together. So I'm like, Dad, like, I'm not like, it's fine. I can do this. So I'm managing just a couple of the little things, just make it easy on him, make it easy on me. So I've only been working over the phone with this painting contractor, and I felt like my needs were super simple, right? I wanted white dove everywhere, ceilings, trim, walls, like all the things, except for my coworker here at BusyBusy. He was like a good friend of mine. And he's like, it's pretty cool to do like cream cabinets. Like that's what everybody's doing. And he just bought a house, and I was like, okay, you're right. Like I do like cream cabinets, so I'm going to go for it. Well, between the phone calls of me and my painting contractor, somehow I ended up with cream walls, white trim, and white cabinets. And I was like, just beyond devastated, like so awful. And looking back at it and like even talking through it with you, it's like, man, if there would have been like some communication between me as the client and the painting contractor, because I'm sure you guys and everybody listening, like, sometimes doesn't work with a GC. A lot of times you are going into a client's home, you're working with them one-on-one, and it's like, yeah, we got this. But when there's not like, and I don't even want to say paper trail because we're trying to get everybody off of paper job sites, but it's like the paper trail, like we only were doing phone calls. So as the client, my bad, right? But also on the painting contractor for there not having been like verification, it was a big bummer. And like, as a client, I take full responsibility for maybe not doing check-ins and stuff like that. But I'm like, man, if you would have had like BusyBusy and you were taking photos or you were taking videos or you were doing a daily report and you were sharing that with me as a client, or even had like my client profile, the project with the paint clearly labeled, like that would have saved, I mean, the whole experience. So it ended up being like, hey, like we'll repaint it for you if you want to pay for it. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to pay for it. Like I had a fund for this. And so every day I walk into my house and I'm like, cream walls, white trim. Interesting.
Yeah. So you bring up a great point because, I mean, let's face it, those of us in the painting industry know that it has a tendency to not be very organized. Sometimes there aren't programs and systems to help support that organization, but BusyBusy can do that. And it's interesting because, you know, BusyBusy, you guys call yourself a time tracking software, but the truth is you do a lot more than that. So I'm excited to see what you show us. Go ahead and let you do your thing. You're a pro at this. So go ahead and tell us, what is BusyBusy?
Cool. Yeah, I'm stoked to be able to show you guys. So we recently joined the PCA. We were at the big PCA event in, oh gosh, I guess it was February now, and planning on being at Women in Painting. And it's been, I mean, the PCA is awesome. Marsha, if you're listening, you're great. Huge shout out to everyone in PCA. So it was a great show for us. And the reason being is because exactly what you said, Michael, oftentimes there's not systems in place. So once we were able to connect with some members and just show you guys how easy it was and how much it benefits, it's like, sweet, this ended up being a great fit. So I'm going to start by sharing my phone screen, and then we'll get to this good stuff. This is the BusyBusy dashboard, which I have a feeling most owners and any admins who are watching are definitely going to like. So do a little pause right here when I pull up my phone screen. Make it easy for you to cut that out. Goodness, technical difficulties. I can't tell if you dropped off, Michael. Did you drop off?
Yep. Nope. I'm still here. I'm just sharing your full screen.
Okay.
Yep. So you're good to go.
Okay. Let me just get let's cross my fingers here. Hope this works. Okay. We're looking good. Almost there. I'm glad this can all be cut out.
Yeah. No worries at all. It's going to work out just fine.
Okay, there we go. Okie dokie. You guys can you see my phone screen in the middle now?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just reorganize that a tiny bit. Okay.
Nice. Yep, it looks good.
Sweet. All right, we can jump back into it now. So,
all right, let's do it.
BusyBusy is an app that employees will have stored on their phones. So you guys can see my hot pink phone screen here. We're going to open that up. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the different ways that your team can track time in BusyBusy, and then we'll focus on the one that we see the most. So a couple different ways to track time with BusyBusy. And like Michael said earlier, we're not just time tracking, right? I mean, that's the core of our product, and we like to talk about it as a bit of a solar system, but that is the core and center of our product, because labor, I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys this, I'm preaching to the choir, but labor is the biggest variable cost on the job site. So if, we are off on the phone. Let's do that again. Hope that doesn't happen again.
Did it just like lose connection or something?
Yeah, it just like kicked me out. So I think when my phone screen goes to sleep, it does that. So let's go ahead and change this. All right, we're back.
Okay, cool.
I'll just start from that part again.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it works.
Okay, awesome. So you guys should be able to see my screen now if you're watching. We have my phone screen over here, and then we have the BusyBusy dashboard. So like I said, we'll jump into the dashboard. You guys will like that. But we're going to start by walking you through what your employees are going to be able to see out on the job site, what they're going to be using. So like Michael said, core of BusyBusy is the time tracking and job costing. That's why the app was originally created. Wanting to get you guys accurate data from the field back to the office quickly, rather than 3 weeks later, a month later, when you're going through paying the bills, closing out the job, and then you find out that you were extremely over on labor or extremely over on XYZ. Have that data in live time. Other reason that we created BusyBusy, our founder, he was in the excavation industry, and that story I just told, I mean, it was exactly what happened to him. They were cruising through the phases, they were crushing it, they were doing such a great job, and then they get to the end, and a couple weeks later, he goes into the admin's office. He's like, "How'd the job go?" And she's like, "Oh, it was great. We paid 20 grand to be there." And he's like, "What do you mean? How could that even be possible?" Turns out, they were actually they were failed from the start because their labor estimate was way off. So even though they were crushing and cruising and below the labor budget, they were, fighting with all hands behind their back. And what ended up supposed to be about $40,000 loss because they were cruising at the time, they did make up for it. But not having that labor in check or having inaccurate labor reported, it can make or break a job, and I mean, hopefully not make or break a business, right? So
yeah,
labor is the biggest variable cost.
Absolutely.
So that's the core. That's the core of it. And then moving on and moving from that, it's like, well, there's other things that employees need to be doing to help keep communication streamlined and help make sure the job's running smoothly. Kind of like the story we talked about at the beginning that breaks my heart and soul. But we'll hit on those things. So want to talk you guys through the ease of use that's been built into BusyBusy and what that core portion of the product can do for painting businesses, any contractors, but anyone who has employees out in the field. So main way that we see companies track time in BusyBusy is through our individual mode, which is what you guys can see here on the screen. We do have a couple of additional ways to track time, one of them being our supervisor tools, which I'll point out really quickly because it's a pretty unique one. Basically, a crew lead can have an entire crew set under them, and they can come in here and clock crew members in and out. So I'm the crew lead with this crew. I can come in and clock Ryan in right here. I can select a job, a cost code, whatever that may be, and get him right on the clock. So if he didn't have his phone that day, or battery was dead, as we run into sometimes, crew lead can manage all that. We also have a kiosk mode. So if you want to set something up in your shop where your employees walk up, takes a picture of their face, it's going to clock them in right from that kiosk as well. And then most popular is the individual mode, like I mentioned. So again, that process is just super simple. Employees will open up the BusyBusy app. They're going to hit the bright blue clock in button. And from this point, depending on what you guys want to do as a company, we can have them come in here and select a project, a cost code. I even work with some companies who want to track hours on their paint sprayers. So under this equipment tab, you can do that. But to keep the example, fairly easy and simple, we'll come in here and grab a job. And then we'll also come in here and grab a prep work cost code. Hit done, and I'm on the clock. This time ticking away is going to go down here to that specific job, partner drive job. and to the cost code prep work. So, I mean, just really easy. And then once I'm maybe done doing prep or I'm done at this job, all I have to do is hit the switch button. I don't have to clock out. I don't have to do anything crazy. I just hit switch. I'm done with prep. And now maybe I'm doing interior finish or, whatever it is that you guys are tracking, those can be listed right there. Nice thing as well, and I can't remember what you guys were doing off the top of my head, Michael, but we can integrate with a lot of accounting systems. We can integrate with a ton of other software through Zapier. So for example, pretty common integration we see is like QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online. So all of the projects or customers in QuickBooks can show up here in BusyBusy for your employees to clock time to. And then all the hours tracked will push right back in. So a lot of opportunity there to really automate the processes back in the office as well.
So Bracken, real quick for you. So like if you use that integration, then you don't have to manually add the job into BusyBusy. It's already going to be in there for you.
Correct. Yep.
So one less step for like an admin or somebody to do. The other thing that I really like and is how you could track your prep work. Now we don't do this. There was a time and a place that I did this when we really wanted to hone in on our, how long it took to do something so we could get our labor rates right. But the fact that you can do that is pretty awesome. And what that, I don't know many painting companies that track that, but the idea behind it is that if you want to really hone in on your pricing, right? Your pricing starts with understanding how long it takes to do something. This is how you can do it. And this app makes it super easy.
Yeah, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. And 50-50 is usually what we see with all of our clientele, whether they're tracking time to a cost code or not. And same thing, I mean, that's all across the board, but it's exactly what I see with painting contractors as well. Which actually brings me to a funny story that we tell pretty often on like webinars and stuff, just because it is so like, oh, that makes sense. But we were working with an electrical contractor and he decided to just track time that his guys were actually in front of the wall doing electrical work versus like everything else. So he only had one cost code in place and it was just in front of wall. And his employees would either be in front of a wall or not in front of a wall. Because when they're in front of a wall, that's when the company's making money. And they were able to make quite a few changes to their business that ended up leading them to be way more profitable, way more productive. And I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but basically what he found is that more than 40% of the time, they were not in front of a wall, not generating revenue. And so it made them stop going to the shop every morning. Instead, they went straight to the job site and got in front of a wall. They did prep work like ahead of time. They knew where they were going. They knew what they were going to be doing. So that's one thing that we see a lot where maybe companies aren't saying, hey, we want to know every little thing that you're doing, because we're also working with contractors. Let's be real. They want to get it done, especially in painting. You're covered in paint. You're not going to be pulling out your phone doing everything, but even having one or two cost codes can have a tremendous impact if that's the direction, like you said, that you're wanting to go. So
yeah, awesome.
It's pretty slick. And then depending on where you're at, some companies, but also some states have some pretty intense break laws. That's stuff that we will help you out with. Have employees just hit this go on break button and clock out for a lunch. And then again, that switch really easy. One thing I want to point out with the switch is we do have GPS features. So a couple of things can be done with that. We're going to show breadcrumbing of where your employees are at while they're on the clock. That's the biggest thing. While they're on the clock, while you are paying them, you can know, are they spending 2 hours at Denny's having a late breakfast, or are they actually on the job site? Or are they, making way too many trips to the paint store when really we need to set up a different process so they stop there on the way to the job type of thing. You're going to have that type of information just by your employees clocking time through BusyBusy. You can even go a step further and set like a geo fence around your project. So if you don't want them to be able to clock in until they're actually at the job, or you need to use that geo fence as a reminder. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff that can be done to really make sure the labor data coming from the field is accurate. So, I mean, that's a lot about the time tracking in general. A couple of other quick things to note, and then we'll start talking about some of the more like meat and potatoes, the extra features that BusyBusy has to offer for you. I really like to point this out, especially for all of the owners listening. When your employees go to clock out, we're going to ask them a couple of questions to help protect you as a business, to help protect the integrity. I mean, just all that good stuff that you don't really realize you may be getting into when you start a painting business. What we see a lot is companies or owners who start painting businesses are like, oh, I did this in college. I really liked it. Why don't I be my own boss and start a painting company or an excavation company or, you know, whatever that may be. But they don't realize the type of liability they're putting themselves in when hiring employees. So the reason I go into detail on that is, like I mentioned, some states have really crazy break laws like California, but also this were you injured question. This one's pretty unique, and I'd never thought of it until I, started working at BusyBusy. I'm like, that's such a no-brainer. But it's 2024. Companies are pretty good at capturing when injuries do occur. Unfortunately, they can happen, but there's usually a process in place. What we don't see companies have is a were you injured, yes or no. Capturing that, no, I wasn't. So if they go do some work over the weekend, maybe some side jobs, and they end up, falling off a ladder, and they say, oh, well, I told you, Michael, that I fell off the ladder Friday. Come Sunday morning, like my back just really hurts, and now I'm going to the hospital. I'm filing workers' comp. Like those stories, we hear variations of those from our clients all the time, where just asking this simple question, and based on, the people who we talk to, it's about 75% of companies aren't asking this. And the 25 who are usually asking it because they had a situation like that. But this is huge. This is one thing that really we always, I'm like, no, really, you need to use this. I'm not going to push people on doing cost codes. I'm not going to push them on doing X, Y, and Z. But this one, I'm like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, this is a good feature.
And then going through this list, I mean, it's something that's quick and easy for them to answer. No, I wasn't injured. Yes, I took my break. And then for you admins out there, is your time correct? Yes or no? So if I looked up here and I'm like, I forgot to clock in at 5 a.m. this morning, or I forgot to clock out, I can just leave a little note for the admin, and it's going to ping their BusyBusy account. You guys can see it over here that we have one inaccurate time that needs to be fixed. It's going to populate, and I can go in and get those fixed really easily as the admin or owner. And then any custom questions you want to ask. So we like to ask our admins and our crew leads if they did their daily reports today. But again, totally custom and optional there. But I hit submit and I'm done. And I'm also, submitting that my time is accurate, verifying that everything's right and that the day went well. So really streamlines that line of communication.
Awesome.
Couple other things to point out. I mean, because we talked a lot about like the liability and making sure things are accurate. A lot of the stories we hear as well are, inaccurate hours being paid. And sometimes it's just the matter of employees not knowing what their hours are or what they are going to be paid for that pay period. So through the time cards down here at the bottom, I can view all of my hours stacked up really easily. I can see this week, but we're also going to ping the employees' phones at the end of every pay period and ask them to sign off on their time cards. So I signed off on this one this morning for last week's pay period saying, yep, I didn't have overtime. I had 28 hours. I know as the employee, I'm good. That's what I need to be paid for. And then my supervisor, I don't know why his little signature is not loading, but Dustin also signed off on it this morning saying, yep, Bracken's good. So lots of just extra steps of liability protection for the business if you want to use them. Nice. Some of the features that we chatted about, I know that you guys have quite a nice tech stack going on at No Drip. So there were a few features that were going to be a great fit and a few features that you have taken care of in another tech stack. And that is a cool thing about BusyBusy. Like I mentioned about Zapier earlier, we can integrate with a lot of those. So one thing that we find companies getting stuck in is QuickBooks Time or T-Sheets. And typically they are using that because it came with QuickBooks, right? And so then they started using it, and now they're really stuck on having that integration. And they don't realize that other software like BusyBusy can sync with QuickBooks as well. So we see that a lot where companies get stuck and they're like, well, I want it in my QuickBooks. And it's like, yeah, 100%. We can do that too. And they're like, oh, okay, awesome. So that's one thing I like to point out is that T-Sheets is great, QuickBooks Time is great, but you can have something that gets you better construction job site data that still integrates with your QuickBooks or your Sage or whoever. You don't have to use the dinky time tracking that comes with your accounting software. And I mean that in the nicest way. It's just that those are typically made for really stationary employees. Whether it's like a grocery store or a nail salon, it's not made for guys and girls who are out and about all day, switching to different job sites. It typically just isn't made for that. So yeah, that's one thing I like to point out as well, is we can work with your tech stack. It makes
it's a
really
good point. Because when I look at this, I mean, that we use T-Sheets and we've been using it so long that we still call it T-Sheets. But
yeah.
I mean, the truth is, BusyBusy, the interface looks a lot better. It's so much easier to use. From the user standpoint, it just looks better on the phone. So you guys definitely have nailed it, I think, on the visual piece of the puzzle for sure.
Thank you. I mean, I can't take any credit for it, but I do have to agree. A couple of things to point out as well, from like an admin standpoint for the people back in the office who are entering the time, making changes, creating user accounts, all of that you guys have complete control over. So you can change your employees' passwords if they can't remember it. You don't have to call us. You don't have to say, hey, can I add another employee? It's like, you can do all of that. It's so user-friendly, and you own the account. You have complete control over it. It's one nice thing I like to point out as well, because we do run into companies who, like I said, are using their accounting system, and they're like, oh, I need to add a new employee, and now I have to call them and I have to sit on hold. And it's like, well, you can do it yourself, but instead of sitting on hold for 40 minutes or more with an accounting software to get an employee added, you can do it yourself. Or if you have a question, you can come right down here to support and you can chat in with us really quickly. So to show you guys an example here, we are typically responding. Let's see what we're doing right now. If it wants to show us, we're typically responding in under 5 minutes through our chat. So a lot better than sitting on hold for 40 minutes and then losing connection, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Another nice thing I always like to brag about, because my mom, she does payroll for an asphalt company, and they don't currently use BusyBusy, but they're in the works of making a transition. And she is always complaining about how long she sits on hold to answer one small question. So I'm like, I like to point that one out because that's a big one. I was actually on hold with an airline recently for like 45 minutes. They answered and I was like, hi, can you hear me? And they're like, hello, hang up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Most frustrating thing ever.
Cool. So couple of tangents there, but I think that covers like the time tracking part, right? And that's the biggest part, is getting you guys accurate data from the field so that your future estimates can be right, your budgets are accurate. I mean, just that type of stuff. But like Michael, like you mentioned, there's a lot of other features that come into BusyBusy. So maybe we could hit on some of those, or point out some of the ones that you guys even liked when we were demoing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, a big thing that people that we're really focused on, especially like with the PCA, is very educational driven, right? So a topic that we talk about often is job costing. In order to know how you're performing on your job and whether it's a good job or not, you've got to do your job costing. And you guys have a little setup here that can help us do our job costing. Maybe you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. So I'm actually going to shift focus over here to the dashboard a little bit for those of you who are watching on the screen. So we'll pull the phone out of the way for a second, but this is the BusyBusy dashboard. So this is typically where like owners and admins are spending a pretty decent amount of time, because it gives you the view of everything happening in the company in lifetime. I mean, updated 7 minutes ago, but in lifetime, right? So you can access this from anywhere, whether it's, at the beach on a vacation and you need to check some stuff out, or from the truck or from the office, whatever, but you can see everything going on. So to highlight on the job costing section that Michael, that you mentioned, our activity reports are going to automatically do a huge portion of your labor job costing. So coming in here, I'm going to look at all of our projects. You can drill in and filter, to your heart's desire for the most part, but we're going to come in and look on a monthly basis at all of our projects. So let's back it up to July, since we're fairly new into August right now. I can see all of the jobs we worked on as a company and how many total hours my team spent on jobs. And then it breaks it down even further to say, hey, here's the partner drive job. We spent a total of 48 hours here. Awesome. Let's look into that a little bit further. You can see all your employees who were there. You can even look at it by your cost code as well if you are tracking that. And you can see I spent 13 hours on this job, broken out between prep work, drive time, and a little bit of demo. So it really can be broken down, pretty deeply depending on what it is you're looking for. But just having this quick view at any time of where you're standing on a job with labor hours, I can make a huge difference. And to dive in even further to that, you can have a whole budget set up. So you could say, hey, we're budgeted, or we estimated this job is going to take us just under 3,300 hours. You can see in live time where those hours are adding up and see that your labor cost is, almost halfway there, even though your hours were barely over a quarter. So it gives you some idea of like, hey, are we hitting overtime on this job, or do we have too many supervisors or crew leads on this job? Like, where do we need to make some adjustments to make sure that both of these come in green and come in winning?
Yeah, what I like about this is, like, you don't have to run a report, right? You just go to activities report and it automatically pulls this up.
Yeah.
You're not like downloading anything.
Nope. It's automatically doing it all just by your employee clicking that project and logging into it. So the data that it can get you and that you can mine into is a major game changer. Again, I'm not a contractor, but I talk to contractors every single day, and it always gives me like some extra reassurance of like, oh yeah, no, what I'm selling and what I'm helping people implement is actually making a major difference. So that's one of the things that I show this to admins, and they're like, oh, I don't have to do all this in Excel. I can just click this, right. And it's like, yep, it's right here anytime you want it. And nice thing too, you can access that from your phone. So like I mentioned, if you're out and about, like a lot of owners are, you don't have to be in front of a computer. You can run a good portion of this right from your phone. So if you needed to open it up and see your budgets, for example, those will populate right here. If you need to go into your activity reports, you can do all that from your phone. So it's pretty slick.
Nice. Very good.
One thing that I want to be sure to chat with you guys about is, again, just further streamlining the level of communication between the field and the office, or even the field and the field, right? So photos and notes are huge. If you're not taking at least before and after pictures on the job site, like, you're definitely putting yourself in some crazy potential compliance issues or liability. So we found that it's best practice for all of our clients to at least be taking a before and after photo, especially when you're doing remodels like we talked about. Man, if I would have had a before and after photo sent to me from the contractor, from the painting contractor, like, oh, that could have just changed a lot of stuff. But especially when you guys are going into, people's homes and maybe the owner's not there, or there's multiple subs coming in and out of a job site, and suddenly you have, a big smear in the wall. It's like, hey, no, this is what it looked like when I left. It's time stamped, GPS stamped, automatically organizes it into pretty little photo album for all of your jobs. But just a major game changer. Even like a little video to say, hey, here's what we got done today, can make a big difference in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Bracken, can you take a photo and edit it and like draw on it, arrows, text, stuff like that? Can you do that?
Yeah,
in the
yep,
program?
you totally can. So I'll show you an example here, actually. I can just hit the camera button. I can take a photo or a video, or I can upload something from earlier. So let's go ahead and take a photo. We'll just snap a picture of my laptop here. I'm going to say use photo. And then I can come in here. I can write a note. I can tag it. If I'm clocked in, which I'm not right now, it'll automatically link it to the job I'm on. Or if I can say, hey, this was for the partner drive job. Perfect. Write notes, draw. It'll open up pretty similar to like whatever your Android or Apple phone already do for markups. And I can, circle this. I can change it to a pen, a different color. Let's go red. Perfect. I can add text. I mean, whatever your phone allows you to add, that can all be done right here on the BusyBusy app.
Okay, very good.
So that's a really pretty one. We'll save that one for sure. Hit done and we're good to go. And then let's say I had a question on it. Once it populates into the BusyBusy system here, we could have, people come in and chat back and forth and comment back and forth right on the photo. We'll open this one up while that one's loading, but I could say, any suggestions here to make things better? I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
Hit submit. And now anybody can come in and comment back and forth on this with me. Or you can just simply look at it and see that on the partner drive, kitchen is prepped and the primary doors are painted. Sweet. We're good to go. So again, just really streamlining.
Yeah. When you ask a question like that, does it notify the other folks on their phone that they have the opportunity to answer?
That's a good question. So through the photos, we don't have like notifications populating just because a lot of times those comments are like, hey, XYZ is happening. It's not necessarily like we need an answer on this. So that's actually a great segue into our bulletin feature, which is where most of that will happen. So I'm going to populate it over here on my phone. And you can see I have 2 bulletin messages that I need to get answered. Cool thing about this, and pretty similar to like the read receipts on the iPhone, where you can see somebody read a text message at 12:01 and hasn't responded. We're going to require that they come in here and say, hey, I saw this information. This is an important message from Drew, all this good stuff to know. Me, as one of the 66 employees, I'm supposed to acknowledge that I saw this. So once I've read through it, I can acknowledge and that things are good. But to dive in further on like a photo commenting back and forth, nice thing there is you'll have that alert. So I only sent this photo to 2 of my coworkers, and it's for a specific job. I need to make sure they pick up materials. Now you're going to have those comments back and forth where you can actually message and have those little alerts.
Okay, very good. And that's under the bulletin section.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's used for a lot of different stuff, like we talked about, important messages, team meetings. But the nice thing there is that acknowledgement. Hey, sign your time card. I can tag you and Katie, and I'm going to know once you've seen it, and then I can keep bugging you if you still didn't do it, type of thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, pretty nice there. But yeah, again, just that communication streamlining. And I know we talked a little bit about like a daily report to be able to send off to I'm having a brain fart right here. A daily report to send off to like either the GC or even the client, or maybe the owner just wants to see in a really pretty report all the photos from that day, all the jobs or all the employees who were on site, what got done, maybe even do like a walkthrough checklist questionnaire. Hey, when you're leaving this employee or when you're leaving the owner's house, did you pick up this? Is it clean? Attach a photo, like that type of thing. Those are all things that can be done right here on the phone and create a really beautiful report for you to share with a client, or even just send off to the owner. Keeps things super streamlined. So I'm going to pull that up here. I had it pulled up and then we had some technical difficulties. So we'll pull up an example here of one that's already been completed. So I'll come in here and just open up this one from my Google Drive. But this is an example of like a completed daily report. Here's the client up here, the date for the job. If you're doing any exterior painting, the weather will probably come in big play here. It'll automatically pull the weather on the job. You can ask custom questions like, were there delays? All of the photos that were taken, exteriors prepped, interiors prepped, like we're almost good to go. So you'll have those right here. The employees who were there, is their time right? Were they injured? I mean, everything we've talked about just compiled into one little report, all stored. You can access it anytime, anywhere. You can even download it, save it, email it, all that good stuff. And then have the supervisor sign off on it. So pretty
Awesome.
slick additional way to streamline that. We're probably getting a little close on time. I think we've hit on a lot of good things. The last thing I want to tell you guys about is our safety module. If you're watching, you can see the little logos above my head. We recently were acquired by Align Technologies. So that's been really awesome. We've been able to partner with some other hugely useful software, the newest one being Fleet Watcher. But the one I want to highlight today is Safety Reports. A good portion of Safety Reports is available in BusyBusy. So I'll pull up again one more screen for you. Like we've talked so much about how important liability and compliance is, same thing goes for like toolbox talks. A lot of companies, I think the exact rule is like if you're over 10 employees, as of 2024, you're required to submit all your OSHA documentation digitally. I know OSHA is like a really fun topic to talk about, but this is all available in BusyBusy right now. So the reason I brought up the toolbox talks following the daily report is we have thousands of toolbox talks available in our BusyBusy report library. So you can go in, select a toolbox talk to discuss, and then you can actually have all of your employees sign off on the supervisor's phone stating that they were around. Here, I'll zoom in on it. It's a little blurry, but you can see all the supervisor did was create this report, attach the OSHA toolbox talk that they were doing, and then each of the employees signed off on it saying that they were there and that they did that training. So really just helping you guys remain compliant, helping keep job sites safe. But same thing goes for incidents. If your employees answer, yes, I was injured, like something happened, it's automatically going to create an incident for you guys to go through and report on. And then you'll have all of those 300, 301, 300A logs stored in BusyBusy and really easy to send right off to OSHA come April when all of that stuff is required to be turned in. Those are all available in BusyBusy now. So just really streamlining that. Yeah, it's huge. And then inspections are on their way. We're working on them right now. They should be done soon. Same with observations. So if you're walking through the job site, let's make sure things are good. Submit like anonymous observations. If you do see something, that's going to be an option as well. So wanting to just protect the employees, protect you guys as business owners, and get you some good data. So
that's very cool. Listen, this has been super helpful. And I know you kind of I almost want to say scratch the surface on what BusyBusy can do.
Yeah.
If someone wants to reach out, they think that this program might be a fit, how do they get in touch? How do they schedule a demo? What are the steps they take?
Yeah. Great questions. I'm not sure if we can put like any links below, but I'm sure we'll be able, if we can, we'll do that. But you can email me. It's just bracken@busybusy.com. You can also just go to our website and start a free trial, and that will kind of walk you through the prompts of setting up a demo with us. The nice thing about it is, we only cracked the surface, but we'll also help you guys take, we always say, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So we'll help you guys take these bites and steps into BusyBusy and really make sure you're set up for success with it. So go to our website and start a free trial. It'll prompt you to book a meeting with somebody, mention that you came from the Women in Paint podcast, that you're, a part of the PCA, that type of thing. We have a special deal for you guys. And hopefully I'm the one who gets to demo with you. We can chat further, but if not, you're in really great hands, and we'll make sure that you're linked to Women in Painting podcast and that you get that special deal. So
Very good.
Easy.
Cool. All right. So cool. This was so awesome. Thank you so much. Now,
Yes,
listen, I got one last question I ask everyone.
Okay, I'm nervous.
And you have to answer the question too. No, it's really, what do you do to take care of yourself so that you can, keep showing up for all the things in life that you love?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to take care of Bracken so that you can be at your best?
Question. That's a good question. I actually have a fun answer right now. I don't think I've told you this, Michael, but I just moved to Hawaii. So I'm working remotely in Hawaii. Yeah, it's now 9 a.m. which it's
Nice.
what, like 3 p.m. Are you East Coast?
Yeah, I'm Eastern time, so I'm 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Yeah.
So, okay.
So I'm in Hawaii right now working remotely. Super blessed that BusyBusy is able to like let me do that. But what I'm doing right now is whatever the heck I want. And that's how I'm taking care of myself. I'm 28, no kids, I'm single. And I'm like, well, I may as well go and enjoy living the island life while I can and have these cool adventures. So I'm going to the beach every day. That's how I'm currently taking care of myself. But
cool.
on a normal day and what I'll be come January, spending time with family, going to the gym, and if not going to the gym, just being active, getting outside. That's how I stay like sane, is trying to not stare at screens all the time, which is hard when you work in tech. But that's the main thing right now. Big on family time. So that's where I get most of my motivation and close friends.
That's so cool. So you're actually going to leave Hawaii to come to Florida for the Women in Paint event?
I'm going to. Yep, I'm going to go beach to beach. So that time, if you meet me at Women in Painting, the time change, just know I'm probably like delusional.
True.
But yeah, I'll go beach to beach. I'm really excited about it. So
that's amazing.
That's the fun stuff I do. Yeah. What do you do to stay sane?
Well, I, in the last year and a half or so, picked up scuba diving.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm obsessed with it. And I spend a lot of time in Mexico. I was actually in Mexico for about 12 weeks last year.
Wow.
Doing a lot of scuba diving. Hawaii is on my list, though I've never been there. As a matter of fact, my scuba instructor, who I love dearly, is getting ready to move to Hawaii. So when he moves there, I told him, I said, I'm going to follow you. You're going to take me diving in Hawaii. So anyway, that's amazing. But we will absolutely talk more about all that cool stuff.
Definitely.
And that's so awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. This was amazing. Anyone, if you're interested in this program, I would highly check it out. I mean, I've already said that my business has used T-sheets for a long time, and we're going to be doing away with that just because, not to put T-sheets down, but some of the tech 100%. Stuff is finally being available to the painting industry, and we desperately need it. So check out BusyBusy. All right, we will see everyone in Florida. Margarita, baby.
Yeah, let's do it.
Someone told me at 5 p.m. they have free margaritas. I don't know. We'll find out. But that's October 8th through the 10th. The Women in Paint event. Yeah, that's right. Check us out on our Facebook page, Women in Paint, and we will see everybody next time.